Introduction. The book of Romans has often been referred to as God's Gospel of Grace. Indeed, it is the one book of the Bible that has turned the history of Christianity upside down. It was Martin Luther, when studying the merits of grace outlined in this book, who took his stand against the Roman Catholic hierarchy, and the Protestant Reformation was born. Throughout the ages, many great people of the Church have had radical transformations in their lives through study of the book of Romans. In this letter, we have Paul writing to the church at Rome. This letter is distinctly different than all the others Paul has written for two reasons. One, in the letters to the other churches, Paul was dealing with some pressing problem, a danger, an error in doctrine, or some immediate trouble was facing the church. In Romans, Paul is writing to a church he has yet to visit. Two, in the other letters, Paul had some personal involvement in the founding of that church, or he had personal contacts there. This is not the case in the book of Romans. Because of these reasons, we are able to view the letter as more of a doctrine of Paul's Christian beliefs. It is, without a doubt, the greatest work of systematic theology we have in Christianity. The letter is carefully constructed in terms of outlining Paul's position on biblical matters. This fact makes it an excellent resource guide for us to learn of Christian doctrine and beliefs. At the time of the writing of this book, Rome was one of the greatest cities in the world. Therefore, Paul, writing to such a city, sets forth the core issues of Christian faith and belief. As additional background, it is important for us to look at the reasons why Paul had such a strong desire to write to the church at Rome. We are given scriptural references to this. Acts 19:21, Paul is in Ephesus and is planning to visit Macedonia when he writes, "After I have been there, I must also see Rome." Acts 23:11, following a very threatening time in his life, we are told the Lord stood by Paul and said, "Be of good cheer, Paul, for as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, so must thou bear witness also at Rome." It is obvious from these two scriptures that Rome was written on Paul's heart. Romans 1:11, I long to see you that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to strengthen you. Romans 1:15, so I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome. Paul wrote the letter to the Romans somewhere around the year 58 AD, while he was in Corinth. Being a systematic book, the importance of the early chapters is essential to our learning. When Paul speaks of righteousness, he means a right relationship with God. Paul was frustrated with the Gentile world and all their pagan worship and sin. They certainly had not found righteousness. Then when he looked at the Hebrews, he saw God's chosen people who tried to find righteousness by obedience to the Mosaic law, and all the minute laws they added to it. Of course, we know this did not produce righteousness either. Paul therefore sets out to show that the only way to righteousness is utter trust and yielding to the Lord. The only way to a right and proper relationship with God is to take him at his word and submit ourselves to his mercy and love. This is the way of faith. Paul found that the center of Christian faith was that we can never earn or deserve God's favor. We do not have to. The whole matter is one of God's grace given freely to us.